There was an emergency hearing in court today, and we just watched it all. Somebody is lying. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore here with It's Kim and Louis Lecca. And if you missed our live, become a member, watch the replay. You can always watch the full show. We were here already almost 2 hours. But because so much happened for Kim and Louis and I want to recap it a little quicker just to give you insight of what happened at this hearing. Shout out to the all great Inner City Press. Thank goodness he's out there making these threads fast and furious. Without it, we'd really have no idea what's happening in this courtroom because it's New York and they don't even allow a still camera in. It's nuts. But let's get to this recap. So basically, for those of you who have not been following, there's been a back and forth. There was a whole thing about he wants his shackles removed. The prosecutor saying they didn't take his notes. Diddy's attorney saying they were using his personal notes, which goes against attorney-client privilege. A lot has been said. Diddy saying the feds are lying. They seized privileged notes about my legal strategy. Let's see what was said in court. So as he came in, it went straight to it. This was an emergency hearing. We have a bail hearing on Friday, which we'll also be covering to see if he does get bail. And the judge did seem to imply at the end that there's something prosecution needs to deliver. But here's where things came from. Where did these notes come from? Combs' lawyer said he had expedition and privacy in his legal notes. This was in the Bureau of Prisons sweep of the jail. 19 pages of notes were given from the taint team. This is I guess a part of the prosecution team that makes sure that nothing can taint the case, the evidence, etc. Combs' lawyer says, we know enough to make out that this was a violation. We need to know more about the failures. We haven't been able to test we need surveillance video of the search, who took it, what did they do? We need to communicate who took the evidence. There's communications that investigator one. We need to know who that person's role in the attorney office as well. What should be photographs? The search was for drugs and guns and cell phones, but these are his legal files. And we're not sure if it was investigator one who was doing the search, who interviewed Combs. All legitimate questions. If this is true, this is bad because, yes, we have a Fifth Amendment transgression if this was falsely done. We may ask for dismissal on the indictment, et cetera, et cetera. The judge then said, basically, they need some more evidence. They need to hand over information. We don't know what the taint team has. We want to know. We want the material back while this is pending. We cannot waive his attorney-client privilege. We have to be direct, aggressive, ensure is the right word. The government, what happened here? Why are we taking photos of his notebook? Government responded. None of the prosecutors had contact with them. Investigator one was monitoring Mr. Combs' communication in and out. Is this a Fourth Amendment violation? Prosecution, government, of course, saying no. The BOP investigator works with the BOP. He is focused on safety. And if the defendant is in compliance with the rules of the prison, he was not. It's true that they gave us the info. So there's a theory here that because he broke the rules of the prison, because he was doing a lot of stuff by using other prisoners' IDs to make calls, he was paying prisoners off to make calls on his behalf, to potentially intimidate witnesses, it seems, which they do get into in a minute, implying that there were still texts going on, seemingly trying to pay off a witness. None of the prosecution team was aware that investigator one was going to be part of the sweep. When did you become aware? After the sweep. Mr. Agniflio says, Diddy's lawyer, says the defense does not know what the taint team has, but we made a production to them last night of everything, not just the 19 pages that we passed on. So they're saying, stop, act surprised. We gave you everything. There's material that was obtained as part of the government's covert ongoing grand jury investigation. Is it standard to photograph notebooks rather than just take them? I don't know. We are not required to notify the defense of our ongoing investigation of criminal conduct. We receive these materials in an appropriate channel. Whenever we get new information, there's reason to believe, if there's reason to believe there's privilege, it goes to the filter team. So again, there's all this argument about, well, how do we know? What's the content? Where was it? What's the dividing line between notes and regular stuff versus legal notes? Our grand jury investigation is ongoing. Into conduct that has not currently been charged. That was a big drop. We have multiple ways to get information that are not obvious to the defendant. We are not obliged to inform them. They have no authority in that. So that was the response there. Well, what about all this covert investigation? What's going on? They're saying we're allowed to do all of it. So back and forth. There wasn't really much else said because there wasn't really a decision, but they went into what if an individual had counsel paid by another? The payment not privileged, And if it's about paying off a witness, that is what we are investigating. These notes refer to individual 2, a non-lawyer third party that's on his to-do list. The defense lawyer can investigate potential witnesses. It would be malpractice not to. The person tasked was a non-lawyer. On October 18th, the defendant told a family member to work with a non-lawyer to find everything about victim 2. And this non-lawyer individual 2 is not identified as part of the defense team. What about turning over the surveillance video? We are opposed. There is no authority for that. They were trying to figure out if they could work together, but Combs' leader came back saying, well, they took these photos off of what a legal pad that was labeled legal. So what are you saying? The photos taken were from pads marked legal? Can you show me? They then did. Came up and showed them. This is not a good look, guys. Combs' lawyer, when we visit him in jail, we have lists. Everything in these pads are what we discuss. Trial strategy, who we should speak to undermine a witness's credibility. We discuss everything. This is a sweeping racketeering case. We are studying this man's life for our bail application, charity work. This is not a single day, a single event case. We spend on every nook and cranny of this man's life. I have a case, yada, yada, yada. He's basically trying to say, look, to-do lists, all of it, involve things and legal things. If it's on a legal pad, you have to assume it's legal privilege. The name of a potential witness, a retired doctor, now they have that. This is in the heartland of attorney-client privilege. Mr. Combs comes out to read us his to-do list. That is privileged. The 19 pages include things we have said to him, the name of a potential witness, blah, 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 blah. So it was enough of an issue. They tried to claim, well, it was only 11 pages. It's not a stack of notes. A lot of, back and forth semantics, if you ask me. He basically said at the end, the judge said, we have a bail hearing Friday. I will not use these materials in that bail hearing. So now that's sort of wiped, and that they will address this in the weeks to come. And no one really had an issue with that. So there it is. They're going to preserve this video. At the very end, though, he did say, what about the Jeffries Abercrombie case in EDNY? That person did get out on bail. The government released on 10 million bail. Be prepared to address how that's different. It's very different, the prosecution said. So, Kim, I want to go to you because you were here watching. Anything else you want to sort of react to or add to that sort of summary of things? Seems like it's still sort of in limbo as to what this will actually mean. The judge is still sort of determining. But what was your take as we were reading the tweets aloud live?
I think my take is that this definitely is going to continue. I don't think that this matter is settled whatsoever, but it does sound like it's not going to have a major bearing on the bail hearing on Friday, which I think is going to be the most important hearing this week in this case. I do think that the search is interesting. I think the way that the defense is trying to frame this is interesting. And I wonder if this is just kind of these situations where there's two sides to every story. Both sides have a point, and hopefully they can come to a conclusion that makes everybody somewhat happy. I don't know if that's even possible at this point, but that's kind of what I take away from it.
Yeah, Lewis, I know you sort of jumped in late, but I want to get your thoughts because I've been arguing this sort of with people and sometimes Kim, but a chat of just like, look, I'm not Team Diddy by any imagination. I think he's done some bad things, but he has rights. There's due process here, and he has the right to do it. And part of the worry I have is that some of these rights are potentially not being followed, right? If he doesn't have his rights followed, then a mistrial can happen. And I worry they're putting him in shackles every time. They're not giving him bail. We just had BJ surprise witness. Other legal experts have said this is not normal. Now, granted, there are text messages seemingly showing him trying to pay off witnesses and do these things that justify the bail. But, there's a worry, though, that there's maybe too much on him, too much suppression, too much, aggression, that he isn't getting a fair trial. What are your thoughts? Do you think it is a concern to make sure that we aren't being too hard on him at this phase to ensure he doesn't make that excuse later?
Man, hearing this for the first time, it's a major kind of victory for the defense to me. It sounds like they're invading on his privacy, like looking through his things they're not supposed to be looking at. So, yeah, you don't want, especially someone with Diddy who, at the very least, we've seen the Cassie tapes. That's enough for everyone here watching, right? So that's guilt already. But lawyers are great. They get paid for this stuff. They get paid once you lower your defense a little bit. They're like a prize fighter. They're gonna knock you down. They're gonna punch you where they see where you're vulnerable. So this kind of, I mean, listening to you go through it for the first time, it sounds like someone messed up and they gave a bone to some ammo, so to speak, to Diddy's defense here. And look, all this stuff you say, and I think him as well, that we say like everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And I know it's annoying in some cases, especially this one, but those rules are in place to protect you and I, the innocent people, the people who haven't done stuff. There's been history of people being falsely accused of things. It's not directed as like, hey, we're Team Diddy or not Team Diddy. We're just reporting the news, right? But so when something happens and we're like, hey, he deserves a fair trial, it doesn't mean we're freaking buying all his albums from the 90s and we're fanboys or whatever. It means that we're scared for ourselves. We want to keep those freedoms that are given to us in our land, right? So it's to protect you and I. So, but at the end of the day, my opinion, someone messed up here.
Yeah, without doubt. Now, but let's go back as we wrap up our recaps and bring you back in, Kim. Like, let's not ignore this Abercrombie case. As I've been sort of looking at it, it is a pretty bad case, and trafficking of men, a lot of really bad, similar sort of things against Diddy. And he did get out on a $10 million bail. So, Kim, are you? What are you thinking? Is this, as BJ brought that up, does this make you a little worried that maybe they did jump the gun and this could change things? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I can't ignore that we have had two separate judges, I believe, previously who have denied bail when it comes to Diddy. There is more going on in this case than I think most of us are aware of. And considering that the investigation is still going, I think that means that this case is different. To my knowledge, I mean, is the gentleman associated with Abercrombie still under investigation? Are there still grand jury hearings going on for him, or is the
Yeah,
case...
he's pled not guilty.
But is there still grand jury hearings being held for him?
Fair point. Good question. I'm still gathering things.
We have an ongoing investigation that is this serious, and they felt the need to take him into custody before all of the investigation was done. That tells me this is a lot bigger than what you and I know.
I mean,
that's
it's
just my
15
opinion.
counts. It's a bad
It's
case.
bad. But my point is, though, that in the case of Sean Combs, the investigation is ongoing. The investigation has also gone international. We heard that there was a team that flew out to London. I don't know where they're currently, sitting when it comes to this investigation, but I mean, I think it's significant. I think it's a significant point.
The court even said, Mr. Jeffries, you are putting your family at a financial risk if you do not return to court. So there was, even as they let him go, wondering, is he going to jump ship?
Yeah.
They were clear, like, it's not going to affect you, it's going to affect your family, and he may not care. But if the defendant does not show up to the court, your house will go into foreclosure and you will owe the government $10 million. I mean, some of these rich CEOs, probably pennies to them, right? So that's where this is all scary, because if Diddy gets out, who knows what he's going to do, or who he's going to go after and try to, affect, right? That's the problem here. Yeah, it's getting messy. Go ahead, Lewis. Did you have something you were going to add?
This right here can give P. Diddy a PR victory, race card victory, to have his fans say, hey, look, it's a race thing. That's probably something that's going to be raised with these two cases. But legally, Kim's probably right. Like, they're different things. But public, they're not following it as much as we are, right? We could have 10,000 people watching Popcorn Planet, 1 million people. It's still not the general public. We're still in that bubble where we're studying the case a little. Look,
more into it. It's been fully, I think, against Diddy this whole time. Prosecution has won, but you couple this issue now, which is problematic, also with this Busby lawsuit, which I don't know if I believe it all fully, but with these talent now having the guts to say, enough, I'm suing you for extortion because this is all nonsense, and then calling out Busby's record, which, let's be honest, he has not always had the best record with some of these celebrities he's called out, we're learning. Sadly, it's frustrating. It's giving Diddy a win. It is, whether you like it or not. And it's giving him a defense and a strategy that I'm getting worried, is all I'm saying. Doesn't mean I'm trying to defend or jump ship, but this is the point of what the system's all about. At the same time, I don't trust the system, Kim. I don't trust it's all so shady. And I'm surprised we've gotten Diddy this far. Usually we don't get these types of powerful people put away like this, right? And so I'm still just on the verge of my seat of just what's going to happen. Is there going to be justice? Will they actually find it? Will there be another indictment? Probably likely, but there's just so much more to come. We will cover it all along the way, so don't miss it. Make sure you're supporting It's Kim and Lewis over at Nerd Report, Steph, the Alternate, the crew. We appreciate all you guys that are watching. There's a lot to break down still, so don't go anywhere.